It didn't take long to get the starter over the wall and then restarted, but it took long enough to be very costly to Big Al and change the complexion of this race. Little Al runs 10th now.
Well,
there went Fittipaldi.
Well, we have Robby Gordon just out of the pits, just pouring out. Down the bottom of the track, he's got big problems. This is liable to bring out a yellow.
Scott Brayton in and out. We got a glimpse just before he disappeared around the corner by the trees of Gordon with something misting at the back of the car. Look at Gordon, and there's Boisel to the inside. Whoa! Oh, now watch this. This is terrific.
Yeah, but what happened was that Boisel was slowed going into the corner, and
that's 230 miles an hour. They almost touching.
And Gordon had nowhere to go, Bobby, because there was a car to his right. That's why it was so close.
Sam, he was really worried about it. The wall on the right, Boisel on the left. That's a bad position to be in.
Robby Gordon is on the pit road. He apparently is having some sort of problem with his two-way communications, if not the race car. Jack Arute, what's the story?
Well, Paul, believe it or not, it's a radio problem. The report was that he has a problem with his radio, so what they're going to try and do is bring him in and see if they can cure it. So very important to have radio communication for 500 miles. Here he comes in the... Listen to Derek Walker. He'll instruct Robby and the crew as to what they need to do.
When he comes in.
Saying he'll switch to the good radio. You can watch it unfold here.
Listen to him. Something in the front there.
Probably very important to say that we are listening in. We don't have equipment connected to that system. We're passive listeners.
What he said. What's the switch in? We don't have another one. You got plenty of time. Just take your time. Get ready. Get ready. We got plenty of time.
So Derek Walker encourages Robby Gordon as the field moves on to the long backstretch now. Very soon they'll move into their rows of three. And hopefully Robby Gordon will be able to catch up to the remainder of the field before the start. He still has about a mile before the front row reaches the green flag. Very nice alignment here in 4. Robby Gordon still sitting in the pits with radio communications trouble.
Well, Jerry, that early caution was a break for Robby Gordon and his team, because not only did he have a radio problem, but the major reason why they stayed on pit road as long as they did, not to get radio communication, but added to it and exacerbating the situation, a throttle that kept sticking. And Paul Page, you know, that's the last thing you want in Indianapolis, is a throttle sticking wide open. Gordon's had that problem before.
Yeah, I've had the problem at Miami. For one, had radio problems at Phoenix, but yet he won that race. So here comes Robby Gordon, the number 42. That gray and blue car is Gordon. So Sperry, the blue and white car, starts to challenge on Robbie Buell, that yellow and green car. So as they come across the line, up at the top, we'll have our banner throughout the day. It tells you who is leading and the position of every car in the race, the lap count, and the position of those cars relative to the leader. The leader, of course, is Tony Stewart.
Well, we're standing with Robby Gordon, Paul, and Robby from 12th to 4th in a hurry. You didn't waste much time.
We had a couple guys we were a little worried about their engines. I mean, I know everybody's worried about ours too, but you know, we wanted to get up and run with the front guys, and we got the speed to do it. Once we got up to them, and we found out that we did have the speed, because this is the first time I've run this engine, we just put it in 6th gear. We were cruising.
We saw you get out of the car, and when talking to Robbie Buell, there was a misunderstanding. Was it just a miscommunications a little bit? I saw you and Larry Kerr having a few words.
I think Larry thought I was yelling at Robbie or something, but Robbie obviously didn't see me on the outside of the short chute. I got around the outside of him and won, and I had to get on the brakes pretty big. We almost both got in a wreck. And I just, you know, let him know it's a long race. I mean, keep your mirrors open, and, you know, he's a good driver. I mean, you know, we're both out there trying to do the best job we can. It's too early in the race.
Concerns over your motor, the motor you had to wait for until Saturday, running okay thus far?
Running great. I mean, the thing's just running really smooth. It's making the power to run with those guys. We might even be a little short geared. You know, we got on the Rebel Limber a couple times in 6th gear. I think we were running 229 on the straight.
That's Robby Gordon, currently running 4th.
And Paul, Robby Gordon was looking at those engine problems because he was concerned about his engine leading into the race. Remember, he was one of the drivers that was allowed to shake down his engine on Saturday, breaking with the Indy 500 tradition. Now your team has come in under this red flag. Kenny Anderson and the crew looked under the bonnet, did a major inspection. The verdict?
Very good. It looks really good under the engine. It's perfectly bone dry. The engine's running really strong, and the vibrations are really smooth.
Now, what about out there in the early running, Robby? Does that give you an indicator of how well the race will go? I mean, do you begin to build a book right now as far as how this thing's going to progress?
Well, you know, we ran 4th gear for the start. We put it in 5th gear, and the car was really fast. I mean, we started to reel in the leaders. Kenny got on the radio and says, hey, we're up to 4th. We've already passed, what, 8 guys, so let's back it down and put it in 6th gear and ride 450 miles before we go racing.
Now, we're talking about gearing. You've got what we call a passing gear, generally the 5th gear, and then the 6th gear is kind of like what we would have in our passenger car, an overdrive, where you can conserve fuel and just kind of cruise along.
Well, we actually got 3 top gears.
Really?
So we can run 6th as a cruise gear, 5th is like so we don't get lapped, and 4th if we get an opportunity to win the race.
So that's the rocket gear.
That's the get up and go gear.
Now, you've logged, since April 15th, over 10,000 miles. Since this time yesterday, you've logged close to 2,000 miles back and forth. You've been in the rain, you've been in race cars, leg cramps. We've documented most of it. What about your physical condition right now?
I feel great. I mean, as far as mentally, we were perfectly focused going into this race. You know, all the guys on the Coors team have been doing a great job. The Winston Cup guys did a hell of a job last night, and my car was so good. We knew the rain was coming there. We had to go. We got a little over my head and wiped out that car. The car was good enough to keep running, but Felix Sabates, the team owner, decided, hey, we've got a great car at Indianapolis. Let's go down there and let's not wear you out tonight.
That's an interesting concept, what you were talking about. You knew the rain was coming last night, and mentally you made a decision not to play it conservatively. Could we see that sort of a situation or scenario here today?
Well, we were about, I think, 18 laps from halfway.
Right.
So we knew we had to go. Our pilots, or Felix's pilot, was in contact with the radar, and they knew the rain was 10 minutes out. About 5 minutes after I crashed, here come the rain. So, you know, if they get over halfway, that could play a role here. You know, we're going to sit and watch the laps count down, and if we get to lap 100 and we see a possible chance of rain, we'll go for that 4th gear.
Jerry Punch, Robby Gordon's got a quiet confidence right now.
And the race is back on at Indianapolis. Tony Stewart gets a great jump on the field. Robby Gordon drops in behind Arie Luyendyk, getting around Robbie Buell as they go into turn 1. Off of the corner, everyone's safe through there, gets tight, back behind the leader where Sospiri is running. The rookie that started on the front row, side by side, they come off of that corner. And here comes Robby Gordon in that blue and gray car. He makes a move on the pole sitter, Arie Luyendyk, and dives low into the pit area, Tom Sneva.
Well, we heard on the radio that he had some water up his back, and
a puff of smoke at the back of the engine.
Also, Lazier was there. The smoke coming out. Robby is really mad, but Lazier was really moving when he went by here.
And apparently the engine blew and got hot water down into the cockpit. So Robby has been burning. He may even have fire.
well, that's why he's rolling on the ground. You can't see the flame, and he feels hot.
Look at his right leg there. He's had something that looks like it burned his right leg there. Look as he rolls over.
Without question, the discoloration in his uniform. Robby Gordon has been burned as something happened in the cockpit. He very wisely jumped out of the car and rolled to get the flames out. The car itself is afire. The yellow flag is out on the restart at Indianapolis. Let's hope that Robby is not hurt too badly. Remember, they wear several layers of fire protection, but if it is fuel and or hot water, which is what I suspect that may be a combination of, it still is going to burn.
Well, what happens is when a driver feels heat, you try to prepare yourself for these situations and how to react, but you just can't. Now look at Robby. He was
saying, hold on a minute, maybe we can get it going, you think?
A couple of minutes ago, he's rolling on the ground. He thinks he's out of it. Now he's ready to go back and try to go racing.
Well,
Tom, the minute he got that fire out on him,
himself. He's there. He wants to get back in that car and get out on the race.
Yeah, he was only worried.
Racer here.
He was only worried about himself in the beginning. Now he's worried about the car. Get back in.
Yeah, Robby's saying, get me to the pits. And the crews are saying, I'm not so sure we can do that. The crowd is saying, let him go.
I'm with him. He ought to let him go.
But the safety crews are telling him to get out of the car. I think it's too bad.
Well, Robby's ready to go, but obviously there was something serious that caused that heat to develop in that cockpit.
Well, Jerry Punch here in his pit.
Well, Felix Sabatos is watching on the monitor what we are seeing with Robby Gordon climbing out of the car. Felix, had Robby said anything to you about what happened?
No, he just pulled off the track, and I saw him jump out of the car and start rolling down the grass. So apparently his uniform was on fire. So that's all we know. I mean, we couldn't tell any more than you could.
The crew started to head back to the garage, and you saw him get back in the car. They ran back to pit wall, maybe hoping he could bring the car back.
Well, I don't know if the official won't let him get back in the car. He got back in the car and make him get out again. So I don't know what it is. Something went wrong with the car, but we don't know what it was.
All right, we're still waiting for information here in the Robby Gordon pit.
Well, remember that Robby Gordon's motor blew in carburation runs last Thursday, and it resulted in a very similar action of burning on the race car.
Back at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, caution being shown in the field. Robby Gordon's car with the cockpit charred has been pulled back around the pit road, and Gordon climbed out of the car, immediately pointing to his driver's uniform and to the crew as to the fact that he does have some areas. Let's see if we can grab Robby right quick and see first of all if he's okay. Robby? Are you okay, Robby? That had to be a little bit scary.
I don't know what happened. I got coming out of turn 2. I went by land guys, and the car caught on fire. It was burning all the way down the back straightaway.
You've got some burns on your hand. We saw some charred marks on your uniform. Did it get you down in the legs or thigh?
I think it got me in the leg a little bit. We'd like to get back out. We're going to check it out and see what caught on fire.
Okay, Robby Gordon here trying to be able to find out what happened. He got out of the car and talked to Ken Anderson and said it just had fire all over me, Ken. We don't know why.
So Robby Gordon's going to try to get back in.
He was in 6th position, but of course he's not going to lose very much because there are only 7 cars on the lead lap.
Well, again, the key is this is real late in the yellow, so could they be trying to stretch it to the end of the race with that stop?
Jerry Punch, what's Kenny Breck's situation?
Well, he could actually go probably to lap 179 or 180, but remember a year ago, Kenny Breck was leading coming off turn 2, and the computer told AJ they could make it 3 more laps, and the engine coughed and sputtered and quit. AJ's not taking any chances. Look for Breck, maybe 176 or 177, at least a couple laps early, which should be his final stop.
Last driver to win the Indianapolis 500 from the 4th starting position, where Robby Gordon started today, Bobby Rahal, back in 1986. Looks like we're going to go at least 1 more lap before we go green. We're under caution because of Mark Dismore's crash coming out of turn number 2, hit the wall. And he is okay, but another car has been eliminated. Kenny Breck has now led the most laps here at Indy in the 1999 edition.
Well, how about the story with Robby Gordon, though? He comes here with a different car. He can't get it up to speed, so he has the luxury of getting into Greg Ray's backup car. Greg did most of the work with this car to get it set up. Now, this doesn't usually happen to drivers, but Robby's got to be smiling to himself right now.
And the leader at lap 190 has failed to win the Indy 500 in 3 of the last 4 years.
Well, again, we talked about the fuel load. These cars handle different as the load of fuel goes down. Kenny Breck obviously is happy with his car at this point.
Jeff Ward, who is currently running in 3rd, you heard the radio transmission. Robby is being told that they are okay on fuel. The pursuer, Kenny Breck, from Karlstad, Sweden, the defending Pep Boys Indy Racing League champion. He's reduced the interval from 5 seconds down to 3.8. Last lap was 3.7 seconds behind Gordon.
again, a lot of it's the key is when you catch the traffic, where you run up to it on the racetrack. Now, this is good. He should be able to get this car down the straightaway.
That's Robby Unser.
He's got a little gap. That'll get him through turns 1. Oh, but we got slower traffic right in front.
Big traffic ahead.
This is going to hold him up, Bob. This is really taking some momentum out of it.
Able to move through it successfully so far. But it has allowed Kenny Breck to close in just a little.
Go on if you can, baby.
Kenny Breck's closing the gap, Bob. I'm not sure if they might be running low on fuel.
5 miles to go, 2 laps.
He might have lost the pickup in the last corner. I think Robby is real nervous right now.
We heard him say, I think we're going to run out of fuel. The white flag is about to come out at Indianapolis. He's out of fuel. He's out of fuel.
Wow.
Robby Gordon is out of fuel as Kenny Breck comes down to take the white flag. One more lap to go in the Indy 500. Incredible heartbreak for Robby Gordon, out of fuel.
Robby Gordon getting a big hug from John Menard. Robby, so close, but yet so far. Did you think you could make it?
Well, we showed if we would have got 2 miles to the gallon, we would have made it. We would have made it by about 2 gallons. The thing's still showing I had 2 gallons left in it when it ran out, and that's all I needed was 1 more lap.
The lap before you ran out, we saw you abruptly slow in the corner. Were you losing some pickup there, some fuel?
No, there's a car in front of me. I caught some traffic, and I was just being careful with them. You know, they said I had a 3.8 second lead, and I was just trying to be smart about it and not throw it away. And then all of a sudden, I looked to the right, and the fuel thing dropped, and I said, this one's going to slip away again. You know, we should have won this race in 95. I pitted with 10 laps to go, thinking I had a flat tire. Then Goodyear decides to jump the restart, and, you know, that race would have fell right in my lap. But this one we worked hard at. We fell a lap down. You know, John made some great calls calling the race, and we got back on the lead lap. Had a really, really good race car. You know, we watched what Rick Mears has done in the past and just worked on the car. We talked to John about it. We studied this race. We knew what it was going to take to win the race. Just slipped away.
Robby Gordon close again. Now he just gets hungrier. Bob?
It's hard to control emotions and words when you're that close to winning the greatest spectacle in racing, and it all slips away. And Robby Gordon is in the pits.
Robby Gordon in the pits. They will make not a single adjustment on the car. Robby says the car is, I quote, perfect. They are very concerned about having pitted early, though. They have him running in 6th gear to save fuel. They get it completely full of fuel. And Gordon now gets it in gear and is away.
Restart fuel. Use your clutch. Restart fuel and use your clutch.
Robby Gordon.
Don't know what he means by use your clutch. He might have a clutch problem.
Gordon almost won the race last year, running out of fuel late. He finished in 4th position and has had a couple of other 5th place finishes here at Indy in 94 and in 95. So he makes his 2nd pit stop at the conclusion of lap number 55. You ask what happened to Robby Gordon. He wasn't running up there in the top 3 or 4. That's because he's making his first scheduled pit stop, and it comes on lap number 41 to match the number on that car owned by A.J. Foyt. Gordon throws out the water bottle. They're trying to get with the fueling. It looks like they're having trouble with the fueling mechanism.
Oh, man, that's very costly. He's not getting any fuel in there. They can't get the fuel to go in. They've been finished doing the tires for about 10 seconds now. They had to reinsert the fuel.
And the clock now at 30 seconds and counting as Gordon continues to sit on pit road, and finally 34.1 seconds after he stopped, he gets the car rolling again, but it's a very costly stop.
Tex will be working on that refueler right away. I guarantee you he'll be down there. He's madder than a hornet right now.
Uh-oh, we've got Robby Gordon's engine going. But notice how he pulled quickly off the racetrack and into the warm-up lane to avoid spreading any more oil or whatever that might be coming from the car in the groove.
Yeah, that's the sign of a true professional right there. Robby Gordon He's having a really good day today. I'm sure he's very disappointed, but he wanted to keep the racetrack clean for his fellow racers.
But now the question is, will they throw a caution? Will Gordon be able to make it all the way around the racetrack? That was over in turn number 2. If not, it's going to bring in a caution and all the pit strategy, and the mileage is going to go down the tubes. But right now, the IRL officials are saying keep it green. And looks like a problem in the Robby Gordon pit. Obviously a fire situation has erupted there, or at least the potential of one. We don't see any flame as such, but apparently the top of that fuel tank blew off. A lot of scrambling down there in the Robby Gordon pit. Everything appears to be under control down there in the area. Watch this scary moment. This is Robby Gordon making a pit stop. And once again, we have a situation in which the fuel hose did not disengage correctly. And a result of that, there was a scary situation, and the top of the fuel tank was apparently blown off or pulled off, but no apparent problem. Watch the right side of your screen. We should be able to see the top of the fuel tank blow off as they, yeah, there it is, as they try to restart that car. Gary?
Mark Wida is in that pit. Mark, can you tell us what created that and how much damage, and has anybody been hurt?
We don't think anybody's hurt right now. I think everybody's okay. Just the vent hose got stuck. It came halfway out, got stuck in the bodywork a little bit. It pulled the hose. Looked like the hose had a little fuel in it, ignited, and went and actually brought it back up into the tank, and then that's when the top blew off the tank.
Everything's under control now?
Well, except that we don't have any fuel, so we don't know exactly what we're trying to figure that out right now and see. We got fuel in the car. If we can't any more fuel in the tank, we may be hosed.
Okay, massive cleanup meanwhile on pit lane as we go to Jerry Punch.
And Paul, up in the control tower behind Brian Barnhart, where a moment ago they made a decision from here to move the Robby Gordon car down to the Greg Ray pits and use Greg Ray's fuel tank for the remainder of this race. So what they're going to do is move Robby Gordon's car, the singular car, down to the empty Greg Ray pits. Greg Ray exited in lap 29, so they will have a fuel tank there for Robby Gordon to be able to utilize for the rest of the afternoon. Trying to make a quick switch here so they don't lose much time under the caution.
Both Robby Gordon and Felipe Giafoni have been involved in incidents in which they left the pits too early and took their vent hose with them, but no major damage to either car.
We're also getting word that Robby Gordon may be slowing down. They have slowed down on the backstretch on the pit road now in turn 3.
Now, it sounds like the engine might be idling. This might be a gearbox-related situation, but right now that looks like, as you say, Paul, going into 3, that might be tough for him to roll all the way back around to 4. We might just see a caution flag here.
Well, Vincent, the yellow is out because the problem with Robby Gordon that started on pit road when he stalled the car, and as Scott Goodyear told us, Paul Page, it's a gearbox that is now expired on that car.
So Robby Gordon is out. Yellow is on again to Farron and Catherine Evans, first and second. And the caution comes out. And this is for exactly what Jerry Punch mentioned. They've got some moisture on the race course. And remember, though, at 2.5 miles around, you don't always necessarily see it, but you saw some on the camera lens there.
All right, thank you very much. Here in Robby Gordon's camp, it is very busy. They are talking to their pilot actually at the Indy airport. He is saying it's raining there now, and severe weather will be here in about 30 minutes. Robby Gordon has to be out of that car. Michael Knight just told me at 2:45. That is when he has to get out of the car. And the man that's going to get in, my good friend, Mr. Jacques Lazaire. Jacques, you were just up moments ago spotting for him, and here you are now zipping up.
Yeah, we first call of rain, they said to come on down, and I'm just sitting here. If he needs me, I'm here. So.
You and I were flying home together last week on the airplane. You talked about going and spending some time with your dad in Vail with your wife and your child, and here you are back in Indy. How things change so quickly.
Yeah, it's funny the way things work, isn't it? Obviously I got home and got a phone call from Robby, and he said, hey, I really need your help to spot up here, and just in case there's inclement weather, to come on up here and drive the Meyer Coca-Cola Chevrolet for me. So, just definitely an honor for him to call me up and say, hey, come on up.
Well, the last time they made a change was back in 1977 when Cannon relieved Mailer. Maybe writing you right into the history book.
It might be. Well, we'll see what the weather has to say. Obviously, we're in no control of the weather, but, if they need me, I'm definitely here, ready to go.
Possibly 2 Laziers on the track at the same time. Be safe.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And part of the issue, of course, with a relief driver, as you take a look at the weather radar, Indianapolis Motor Speedway is to the left of that dot that is Indianapolis, and the weather tends to come up from the southwest. I was going to say that now you have to pick somebody who's pretty close to your physical size, because not just the uniforms, the cars themselves are pretty much tailored to the driver.
A lot of drivers have attempted to do the double, starting with John Andretti back in 1994, but Robby Gordon is the guy that has done it 3 times. But one of those times, Paul, it was a rain-delayed race, and he had to come back after running in Charlotte.
Well, if in fact the rain does come through, and in fact...
here comes the rain.
If in fact they move the race because of weather, then Robby Gordon may get a shot to drive the entire distance. Jacques Lazier, though, at age 33, with 3 500 starts behind him, is ready to crawl into that cockpit. Jamie?
I think Robby Gordon's about to leave the racetrack. Jamie, can you give us an update?
All right, Gary Gerald, we're getting to him, and we are.
No, this is actually the best thing.
Local news is getting in there.
This is the best thing that could have happened to us because of the weather. So, we got put in a situation where weather held us out, and looks like weather's going to save us here. We can always come back tomorrow and race.
Did you feel like you had a good car while you were racing?
We had a great car. We went from 18th to 9th on the first lap, and we had a bad pit stop. We lost some positions, but we'll learn from our mistakes and be stronger later on here today.
Robby, what's your plan right now?
No, the weather's not going to keep us from Charlotte. We should be able to get to Charlotte okay, and I think we got good race cars on both ends. The Meyer Coca-Cola car here was very fast. Disappointed that we lost, we lose 7 positions in pit lanes, so we'll get those back. We got a car that handles right up underneath cars, and we were able to get through some Toyotas and through some Hondas, so pretty happy with the Chevrolet.
What'd you say to Jacques Lazier?
Well, I told Jacques if he gets in to drive it, he's got a good race car. Very, very happy with what kind of car the guys gave me. Thomas Knapp, the engineer. We worked hard all month long, and I knew we weren't going to have the speed for qualifying, but I thought we'd have a car for the race.
All right, Vince, that's what's happening here with Robby Gordon.
All right, Jamie, thank you very much. And looks like they're going to line the field up, maybe get ready to start. We just talked to, as we look at Jacques Lazier, who may be a lucky guy today, stepping in for Robby Gordon, who's already gone down to Charlotte to race in the Coca-Cola 600. So the replacement driver is Jacques Lazier. If they get racing, he could go, who knows, he could win this thing.
All right, thank you very much, Terry. A week ago, you're on a plane, you didn't get a ride, you're watching the Water Boy sitting next to Todd Harris, and here you are getting ready to strap it in for Robby Gordon.
Yeah, I mean, what a roller coaster ride, huh? Yeah, I got back home, and I had a phone call from Robby on the phone saying, hey, I really need a professional or somebody who's experienced to be my spotter, and more importantly, the weather's not looking real good, so I'd really like to have you come up here and drive the Meyer Coca-Cola Chevrolet for me if things go bad. So, it wasn't a question of, okay, let's think about this or anything like that. It was, okay, what plane am I on? Here I go. And it's been a wild turnaround for sure.
What will be your mindset if we do get the race going? They didn't have a chance to pour you a new seat. You're really working under his configurations all the way down to his suit.
Well, yeah, you can tell by his suit that we're very close to the same size. He's a little bigger in the upper body and a little bit bigger all the way around. So we did make some precautions inside the car to make sure that I fit in there right and have the safety features as well. So in all reality, I'm going to go out there and just kind of see what the car has to offer, see if it's something that fits me. If it does, then I'm going to try to continue off where he did and just bring it up to the front.
Best of luck. Be safe.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Jacques Lazier's having some issues. Todd?
That's right, Jamie. I was just told by his crew that they're having some kind of electrical problem, so they're going to have to do some serious work here. Meanwhile, his brother, Buddy Lazier, has lost all radio communication with his camp, and they've got to use a whiteboard to get him information. Guys?
I'm guessing that's the weather taking its toll on the radio. One of those things on the checklist. But take you back to that last restart. We talked about the guys had a good time. Jacques Lazier did not. Boy, look at that. Probably fishing for a gear there somewhere.
Or the development of his electrical problem that put him on pit road.
Oh man, that really has to hurt. Fortunately, everybody gets around him, though.
Well, Paul, actually...
What's this? Got the, this is started as Robby Gordon's, is now Jacques Lazier's car.
Right on that board out there, can you say house car, or just write the car, write car big with a question mark to see if he can signal us?
During that last stop, Paul, Hornish Jr. was very lucky. He started to lead before the fuel buckeye was actually released out of the nozzle, and in the end result, the car moved forward, but it snapped out just at the very last minute. Otherwise, that could have been a bit of a catastrophe.
All right, guys, little audio problem there. The Meyer Chevrolet, I'll tell you what, it ran great today with two drivers. You guys pulled off something that hasn't been done in 27 years. Jacques Lazier, I know you don't want to be standing here talking to me. What went wrong?
You know, the funny thing is you've been with me every step of this roller coaster ride, you know. Unfortunately, at the end there, it looks like we broke an axle trying to leave the pits, and it's really too bad. I mean, I got to thank everybody, especially Meyer, Grill to Go, Coca-Cola, and Robby Gordon for, you know, I mean, he went out on a limb for sure. I had not been in this car before, and we jumped in the car. It was a little different than what I was used to, but at the same time, once I got used to it, you know, the car was good. We had a couple laps, I think, at 2:13.7, and you know, I feel bad for the team, too, because they worked extremely hard this month, just from what I've seen, and the car was good enough. You know, it could have gone up. We had a little problem over in turn 3, and had to clean the tires off for a lap and a half, which cost us a lap. But you know, I'm very grateful for Robby for giving me this opportunity, and we'll see what happens.